about Kimberly and Joey, I was just scrolling on the Love After Lockup Unfiltered group earlier, and I came across this video of Joey, and since I had to see it, you guys have to too. And this kind of reminds me of those videos that Chance used to make. Well, he's still making them actually, because he just made one not even a week ago, where he'll make videos like with him with his shirt off, rubbing all over himself. Kim claims that Joey's always doing goofy stuff like this all the time, and they recently just went on a cruise together, so it looks like they're still going strong in current time. And this is a recent picture that Kimberly posted, and I don't know what this was like from years ago or a recent picture. I'm assuming this is recently, and if it's recent, it definitely looks like Kimberly's lost a little bit of weight. Like, you can tell she looks thinner in her arms and stomach area. And so now let's get into this last episode. I was really hoping we were going to get the results of the DNA test back this week. I was waiting on the edge of my seat for that. But unfortunately, the test results have not came in yet, so we're going to have to wait until hopefully next week. Hopefully they don't drag this out for like half the season. And we end up seeing Kimberly sit down with Joey, and she's just telling him about how stressed out she is financially because they got to come up with, I think she said 3% down on this house they want. And so if they get like a $200,000 house, they're going to have to put down at least $6,000. And Kimberly's just relying on her money that she gets from teaching, which is only $15 an hour, and that's pretty much living paycheck to paycheck. And then she's relying on all this money she earned from her yard sale to put towards the house. But for the rest of the money, she's really relying on Joey to step up and get a job. I do think she's going to have some money from her house she has now when she sells it to put towards this new house, because I know that was a question a lot of people were asking her about her current house. Like, how can you afford this house making $15 an hour? And she claims that she was able to buy it after she sold her house when she got divorced. So I'm sure she'll have a little bit of change from that. And Joey was like, yeah, you know, I was thinking about getting into HVAC. And Kimberly, she's trying to be the voice of reason. She's like, okay, so have you really thought about it? Are you going to be the type of dude that enjoys going underneath houses and going out in the heat and going out in the cold weather to fix people's, I think HVAC is air conditioners. I'm sorry if I sound dumb, but she's like, are you going to be able to do all this in these kind of conditions? And Joey was like, yeah, not really. That's not me at all. I don't want to be outside in the hot, the cold. I don't want to be uncomfortable. And pretty much I think what Joey did is he just like looked up the salary for this job and nothing else, and is just trying to go with that. And I mean, everybody should have a job that they love and are passionate about. But right now, Joey just needs to take what he can get so he can start getting his employment history going. Here's the problem with Joey that's going to make it pretty difficult for him to get a job, because not only does he have lack of experience and no employment history, but he's also has one of the longest criminal histories I have ever laid eyes on. You know, I'm a blogger, so for a living, I pretty much look up these people's criminal histories and information, and I think some of the longest cast member criminal histories I've came across is Dylan Smith and John Slater, Lacey's man, and who else? There's one more. Oh, Lisa McGraw, the one that was with Freaky Little Stan. They've had pages and pages of charges, but Joey, he blows all these people out of the water. His criminal history is longer than any of those cast members. He has the longest criminal history I have ever laid eyes on out of all the people on the show, and out of everybody I think I've looked up ever. And that's really gonna affect him when it comes to finding a job, especially with him wanting to make the type of money he's wanting to make with no experience. He says he needs to bring home at least $1,000 a month. And I'm not gonna lie, Joey trying to get into HVAC, it kind of reminds me like back when I was younger and I was like in middle school and I thought I was going to grow up and be a doctor or like a plastic surgeon, even though I was terrible at science and like all the subjects that you need to be good at in order to become a doctor. Like, I was not being realistic whatsoever, and I just feel like he was just looking at the jobs with the highest salary potentials that hire felons, and he wasn't thinking about anything else, and he just went ahead and hit apply, and he ended up finding one job that was willing to interview him. And he comes in, he sits down, and he really didn't start off things on a good foot. He comes in with like a hat and he looked like he just left the gym versus him looking dressed up like he was coming to a job interview. I really think Joey needs to go get him like a nice pair of khakis or dress pants so he can wear to these interviews and look professional, because you only have one chance to leave a first impression. Plus, Joey just did not do a good job at all selling himself. Like, when you want to do an interview, you want to sell yourself as much as possible and show why you're an asset to this business and why they should pick you over anyone else. But instead, Joey just seemed to be giving them reasons why they shouldn't pick him. The guy who was interviewing him was like, okay, so you wanted the HVAC job, right? And he's like, yeah, I know I applied for that job, but I really don't know how to do it. Like, I have a little bit of training, but it's just like really basic training. Like, it's not enough to know what to do, like if you were to get sent out on a call by yourself. And typically it takes like at least 6 to 12 months to learn all that stuff. And Joey, he should have been like, I don't have much experience, but I'm eager to learn. I'm open. I'm a fast learner. But instead, he's like, yeah, I really don't qualify for the job. And I'm also a felon because I was on drugs and I kept getting in trouble and I was in and out of prison my whole life. And he really wasn't selling himself good at all, really telling this guy much good. Like, I understand, saying, hey, I have a past, but I've changed now. But he was like, yeah, I've done drugs, I've been in and out of prison. And just saying things that you could tell wasn't very reassuring for the guy interviewing him to hear. And the guy told him, like, look, I believe in second chances, but I'm going to be straight up. I don't think they're going to hire you, but I'll still try to send your stuff over. And I almost wonder if Joey is just on purpose or purposely applying for jobs that he's underqualified for, kind of like how Heather Gillespie is. Like, before she got the job she has now, she was constantly applying for jobs that she was underqualified for, just so she could tell people that she was applying for places. But at the end of the day, she knew she didn't have what it took to actually fill that job position she was applying for. But at the same time, I get it. He's just trying to get his foot in the door. And since he knows a little bit, he figures that might be able to benefit him. And he thinks that this is his one chance at least making some decent money being a felon with limited work experience. But the thing is, especially with all his stealing charges that he's had in the past, I would not trust somebody like Joey coming inside of my home to do work on my HVAC, especially if he was by himself, like just early on, like his first week working there, because that's just a lot of risk that the company would be taking. Like, the guy did tell Joey that he would be starting off at $16 an hour if he is hired, and I guess like after 6 to 9 months it can increase from there, and that's already more than Kim makes, because Kim's only making $15 an hour. But anything is better than nothing, and I'm just concerned about if Joey really wants to work or not, because he kept talking about, oh, I want to take care of Kimberly and the boys and, contribute to the family. But it seemed like he really wasn't making an effort to find a job until Kim started putting her foot on his neck and getting on to him about getting a job so they can get a house. If I was Kimberly, I would not be rushing to get a house with this man. I would have just toughed it out in where she was staying at right now. It seems like she has a nice little house that she was able to buy after her divorce. And I wouldn't want to rush because I feel like she's going to want to put his name on the deed. And she hasn't even given him time to prove himself. The man hasn't even got a job. And that's just one hump. Once he gets a job, he has to prove that he's capable of keeping that job. Joey hasn't got a job yet, but once he gets a job, he's going to have to prove that he can keep that job and be reliable and responsible and capable of meeting the demands of a work environment. It's always easy to say, oh, I can do this when you've never done it before. But saying you can do something and doing it is two completely different things. So I'm very curious to see how it works out once Joey does finally get a job. And I hope in real time he has got a job by now, especially with him and Kim just recently going on a cruise. But it looks like they're really not having too many money issues if they're able to afford to do things like that. But that is it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about Kimberly and Joey in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.